What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about posture. That's a very often debated topic in the drum community. I don't really think there's a right or wrong way to do it. Everybody's body's a little bit different. Fundamentals, there are some that can probably help you. You might know them, you might not. And honestly, these are things that just sort of worked for me over the years. Does that mean it's 100% correct? Not necessarily. Does it mean that it's going to work for you? Not necessarily. It's the things that work for me and that I think with a little bit of thought or reorienting, I guess, to yourself will help you basically avoid pain, put you in a better position not to get fatigued while you're playing, and maybe play a little bit more organically as a result of setting up the kit a little more ergonomically. It's a big word, but it's an important word, and we'll discuss a little bit basically the 5 different things I think will really help you out and basically achieving that. So without further ado, here we go. So my first tip is to get the seat height correct and kind of orient yourself in a position where you can set up the kit, like I said, ergonomically. And one of the questions I get asked very often is, what height should I set the throne to? Well, the answer is there isn't a correct answer. Everybody's built different. So for me, and what I would consider short kings of the world, I'm 5'8". So fundamentally, you want your legs to be at about 90 degrees. So set the height of the seat to what's going to put you at that. Now, for me, as I said, short king status and all that, I don't think they make a throne that goes low enough for me to do that. And just over the years, I have found that me being slightly, I guess, above 90 degrees actually helps me get a little bit more push into the pedal, which I kind of like. But just to show you, basically, you'd want it probably about here. But mine obviously a little bit more like this in relation to my back. So that's the first thing. So basically find the correct seat height that's going to be about 90 degrees, give or take, and that'll really help. The next thing is, well, where should I sit on the seat? For me, playing double bass or weddings doesn't matter. Anytime I set up any drum set for any style of music, I get my seat height right, and I kind of adjust my butt to be sort of as far forward as it can be with giving me support in my back. Why do I do that? Well, now my quads are free to kind of do whatever I have to do, right? So, by example, if I'm way back here, well, now I feel like I'm floating and this just doesn't feel comfortable. This whole situation here, not great. However, we alleviate that by moving forward and our legs are free to kind of do whatever they have to do. So the next thing is, well, now I got my seat height correct. I kind of know what's comfortable as far as where I'm going to be oriented and sitting on the seat. How do I remember that? Maybe I go to a gig and it's not my throne. Maybe, you're just thrown into a situation, you got to adjust it on the fly. Well, here's an easy way to do it. So you obviously know what kind of sticks you're using. So for me, the lovely Vic Firth Extreme 5A, a little bit of length helped me get the job done, but basically I know anytime I set up my kit, it's going to be one stick plus the width of my index finger should be the bottom of the throne. Thereabouts. This is not a hard and fast rule, but it basically gets me in the right neighborhood for where I have to adjust it if I'm playing a gig. So, tip 1, get the seat height correct, get your body correct on the seat, and then remember it. And I think in the article I talked about the fact that everyone's going to ask, well, I'm a different height, so everyone sits differently. Consider me, as I said, 5'8", sitting here, my throne's here. Danny Carey, slightly bigger dude at 6'5", probably can touch the rim of a basketball hoop. I can only dream of that. Either way, his legs are still going to be about 90 degrees, and I looked into this before filming the lesson. He sits almost perfectly at 90 degrees, yet if you put our seats next to each other, would almost guarantee his would be probably up here somewhere. Why? We're different heights. What do? Use the fundamentals to find what's comfortable. So, on to tip 2. Alright, so here we are. We got your seat height correct. We're on to tip 2. What could it be? Let's get your feet right now, right? We got the seat height correct. Now we want to figure out where we're going to orient the pedals. So, whether you're using double bass and hi-hat, whatever series you want to go Terry Bozzio on your kit and have 350 different pedals all attached to different things, either way, they're going to function kind of in a semicircle half radius. But we need to figure out, how do we get it? Where do we put our pedals? Well, for me, as the double pedal player I am, I know I'm going to have a hi-hat, pedal 2, basically my main pedal. So how I do this is I basically very easily, once my seat is correct, I just kind of lift my legs up, let them fall naturally. And what that's going to do is allow my feet to be in the most optimum position for me to put my pedals under. Very easy, right? So what I would do is just sit here, kind of lift, and then, not surprisingly, when you look at my feet, where are they? Right in my tape marks. Look at that. See? Super simple. And basically what the tape marks indicate, because I know I will never get this right if I do not have this taped down, basically giving me an indication where my pedals should be every night. Saves time at the gig. Actually, if you guys would like to see a lesson about how I tape my carpet, seems easy. Most people probably know about it, but maybe you don't, and you want to know what I do here. I'm happy to go in, drop a link in the comment, or a link, or a comment in the comments, probably more accurately. I don't know what I'm doing. Either way, I can show you how we go through that. But basically, once I get it here, I make an indication where it goes. I simply slide my pedals, and then everything kind of oriented that way. My legs are in a very natural position, so this is now sort of cementing how the rest of the kit is going to kind of grow around me. So, tip 3, baby. So here we are. We've arrived, not surprisingly, tip 3. So basically what happened between is I knew where my pedals were going to go, my seat height's correct, so I add basically the things that the feet need to take care of, which in my case, we have a little electronic pedal over here for stupid little hand claps, obviously my hi-hat, left double bass pedal, and then my main pedal. So obviously the bass drum is an extension of that. So one of the things, depending on how you set up, I like my bass drum kind of going off at an angle, almost like if it was a double bass setup. Other people can kind of play around with it. I personally like my foot to be basically fully over the pedal with the ball of my foot in the sweet spot of the pedal. Other people like it set up so maybe the bass drum's a little bit more flat and they have some ankle kind of hanging off so it feels a little less uninhibited. Again, all of this is kind of specific to you, what you like, how it feels most comfortable for you to play. This, for me, always the most comfortable, and it doesn't really feel like my knees are getting torn apart. So that's a good thing. Anyway, so what we come to next for basically tip 3 without further ado is our snare height. So much in the same way, we kind of naturally lifted our legs, dropped them, and found out where the pedals were going to go. It's kind of the same exact thing for where the center of the snare should go, right? So we put our arms at our sides, we loosen up all loosey-goosey, and then we just kind of lift and we drop right into the center. And basically where the center of the drum is where the tips of the sticks land, right? So for some of you with a bigger wingspan than mine, that might be a little further out here. Other people, a little less, you know, kind of in here. Again, it's very specific to you, and this is a way that's going to kind of ensure that you get it where it needs to be. So that's basically the location of the center of the snare, so you can set it up that way. Now we come to basically the second half of that, snare height. This one I feel like is probably one of the most personal decisions a drummer is going to wind up making. You know, I know some people that kind of low rider, like really, really, you know, kind of by their knees and almost kind of play through the snare. Not really my thing. Mine's always, ironically, basically the way I remember it, because I'm all about that, basically right with my waist. So every time I know that once I get the center in, I can adjust the rim of the drum to be about with my waist, and that feels the most comfortable for me. I know other people, even people I look up to, Todd Sucherman, Neil Peart, you know, theirs is kind of more with their navel, and I know Todd had said at one point in an interview, and if I'm misquoting this, I apologize, but basically he keeps his almost, it's like the height of a computer desk, so he really doesn't have to try that hard, and it kind of just is where it would naturally be if he was typing on a keyboard or something like that. And again, works for him, and I don't think anyone here or at all myself is going to say Todd does not know what he's talking about, because he does, and he's awesome. You should check him out. Free plug for Todd. Anyways, for me, too high, so I bring it down here, and this allows me to do, you know, if I got to get sensitive with it and do some like more buzz rolls, stuff like that, I feel like I can control it more. My area of activity is more within here as opposed to up here. But I still, you know, if I go out with Battlecross and got to really whack the snare drum, I can get that full kind of molar stroke, as well as kind of monitor stuff here if I'm doing more, you know, kind of gentle wedding gigs and things like that. So, but again, play around with it. Make your own coffee. Tip 4. So, as you can see behind me, the next step, set up your whole drum set. So there's some tips about how we're going to do this, right? So we know the seat height's where it's supposed to be. We know the snare height and angle is where it's supposed to be. We know that our foot placement is cool, so the kit is naturally going to kind of be built around us. That's kind of what ergonomic means, the machine in relation to the person and not the other way around. We want the kit to be set up for us, for ease of playing, rather than us trying to bend to the will of the kit, so to speak. So if I spin around, basically, and pick up my sticks, what we wind up seeing is that I got my feet in the proper place. Again, snare right here. But now, basically, if I just turn my hips, everything should be able to be basically under my sticks with extending my arms. And again, notice that there's still a dip in the wrist and a dip in the elbow. It's not a fully extended kind of this thing. But basically, from all the way over here, I'm not really doing anything but moving my hips. So I can kind of hit everything on the kit with pretty much minimal effort. Even if I want to talk to the ride, right? Here we are. Again, notice, dip in the elbow, dip in the wrist. I'm not overexerting. We can get that good molar thing happening, that kind of whip. And it's the same basically anywhere I go, cymbals, and again, so it's kind of make your own coffee with this. Set your kit up the way you want it, but keep this kind of fundamentally in there, right? So you're not stretching, you're not reaching, you're not, I mean, unless I guess you're Jonathan Moffat, you want to put a china back here, go for it. But either way, that's kind of the way I set everything up, and it really, again, doesn't matter. This is sort of my wedding kit. Well, this is not exactly the wedding kit, a little bit for that, but I'll break it down to a 4-piece, but the same principles apply. This would be here, same here, so I can kind of get around this direction. This is, I guess, is the, if I wanted to be impressing people at a gig kind of kit, 3 across the front, 2 down, but again, still that very natural, fluid motion, everything in its path where it should be. So, tip 5. So my final tip doesn't really have a demonstration necessarily, but I think it's one that all good drum instructors know about, most students. But if you don't, it was something that helped me tremendously throughout the years, and I still utilize this all the time. It's the best thing to kind of spot bad habits, but basically, very simply, use a mirror. Use 5 mirrors. Get expensive with it. Go to Pier 1 if that's still a store. Buy a nice bougie fancy mirror. If you're more like me, go to Target, buy one of the $5 kind of cheap dorm room ones. But basically what it allows you to do is you can strategically place them around the kit, in front of the pad, whatever you're doing, and you can sort of see the motion of your hands, your legs, your body. It's very easy to tell if you're looking in a mirror when you're playing that, oh, I'm leaning back way too much, or oh, I'm really compensating and leaning forward. Whereas when you're kind of playing and that thing kind of embeds itself into the natural feel of how you approach the kit, really difficult to monitor those kind of things. You wouldn't know that you were leaning forward. You wouldn't know you were really coming back to hit the snare drum, and that's why your shoulder hurts. So like I said, I have a bunch of them. I use them at different times. Some of them are very targeted. If I'm doing hand exercises, is my technique right? If I'm doing things with my feet, how are my feet landing on the pedals? Am I straining? Do I notice that my calves are kind of in the wrong position, up too high? Maybe I'm dropping my heel and kind of going heel down, which is not really the way I play usually. So like I said, lots of different options with that, and it will be your best friend. So there you go, my 5 tips on better posture, improving, kind of the feel of how you set up your kit to make it a little bit more natural. Again, everyone kind of has their own way of doing this. It doesn't necessarily mean what I'm saying is 100% correct or that it might work for you. These are things that I have found throughout the years that have helped me tremendously in practice and performance. So if you guys like this, let me know what kind of lessons you want in the future. Definitely go like and subscribe to Sick Drummer Facebook. They just started a new Facebook group, YouTube, all of it. And if you guys like this, like I said, let me know what else you want to see. And until next time.